I'm thrilled to be presenting at BBELT 2025. I'm Carolina Orgnero, and the title of my presentation is Digital Citizenship and Critical Thinking, Enrich Language Learning. And the title of the presentation also helps us shape the agenda that we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be focusing on digital citizenship and critical thinking as examples of 21st century or global skills. We're going to work on definitions and key characteristics, and then we're going to discuss a framework that is going to help us understand and organize the discussion. We're going to engage in activities for language learning, and we're going to wrap up the session discussing implications for teachers and benefits for students. You know that we are part of this society that is always interconnected. And in order to continue learning, we also have to upgrade our skills. So the question is, what are those skills that we need? Well, depending on the institution or the framework that you follow, they receive different names. I liked the name of global skills, that it is a name given by a group of authors that prepared an Oxford University position paper some years ago. And these also authors, such as Nikki Hockley and Sarah Mercer, grouped these global skills into five clusters: communication and collaboration, creativity and critical thinking, intercultural competence and citizenship, emotional self-regulation and well-being, and digital literacies. Now, because of the scope of this presentation and also time limitations, we're only going to have time to focus on critical thinking and citizenship. But what I like about this kind of landscape is to understand where these two skills fit when we are teaching language skills to our language learners. Now, what is digital citizenship? When I first started working with this concept back in 2012, it was a fairly new concept, and it usually discussed the two main components: digital, because it made reference to the digital landscape where things take place, and citizen, in terms of being a member of a community, and because of that, a person that has rights and responsibilities. And this fairly simple definition was okay, but my main question was, how can I help my students think about this definition when we approach the topic in class? And I didn't find that very useful. Then I found this definition: digital citizenship is the responsible use of technology to learn, create, and participate. And when we also break down this definition into its main components, then we start noticing that the responsible use of technology makes reference to the responsible consumption of information. To learn and to create also makes reference to the content creation of information in terms of being also responsible, and to participate, to be able to share one's voice in this digital world, and also to participate in a responsible manner. Where is this definition coming from? It's coming from a report produced by Common Sense Media and Project Zero. Common Sense Media is an American organization that focuses on helping parents and educators work with, help young learners. It is an American organization that helps parents and teachers with resources to help their students work with technology efficiently and responsibly. And Project Zero, that is hosted in the Harvard Graduate School of Education, has also very similar projects in terms of working with youth and technology. So they team up and came up with a report that shared the results of their projects, their research projects, And they also offer a curriculum, a digital citizenship curriculum that was also very simple and helpful to approach the topic. This curriculum has 6 core topics. So the same definition that we were discussing a few minutes ago now is broken into different layers. And because the idea of this curriculum is also to be shared with students, the language use is with simple words, keywords, simple sentences. But if you read the main report, you're going to find key questions that help with the inquiry. What are these core topics? Well, media balance and well-being. We find balance in our digital lives. You know that students are all the time on their cell phones, and they're becoming, some of these folks are becoming addicted to the use of technology. So talking about well-being is not a minor thing. The same happens when they take pictures and selfies that they should be making sure that they are not endangering their lives. Online privacy and security. We care about everyone's privacy. Well, the point here is to start teaching children and youngsters from early ages that the data that they have should be always kept private and should not be disclosed with people that they don't know. And even if they know someone, that they should be very careful with what they share. Digital footprint and identity, we defined who we are. We're going to go more into depth because one of the stories will deal with this. I find that relationships and communication, we know the power of words and actions, and cyberbullying, digital drama, and hate, we are kind and courageous, tend to go kind of hand in hand. And then news and media literacy, we are critical thinkers and creators. It's a little bit what we were discussing earlier, the critical consumption and creation of information. Now, something to consider. When we think about these two concepts, who teaches these skills? And I teach undergraduate students who are going to be teachers of English, and I also teach grad students who are already teachers of English. And when I informally discuss these questions with them, the general answer is, I learn on my own. So this answer is also very much in line with what the research say, that students tend to learn this by observing what adults do, teachers, celebrities, and they use what they learn on their own. Now, it is important to notice that sometimes this learning may not reflect the best practices to use social media. So this is also important to consider why we should discuss, and also we shouldn't take for granted that the students are going to learn this in the school. Where do we get ideas to work with students? Well, newspapers, videos, and social media outlets provide excellent resources to discuss situations with students. And what is the connection between language development and digital citizenship? When we use stories, we make a resource memorable. And students like to remember a story, and they can relate the story to a language item, and they can form connections that they can retrieve and remember later on. The story also will provide a context that, again, will help the students remember. And when the situation presents a character or a person, students make connections to what happened to them, so that can also pique their interest. Now, I want you to be teachers, to wear your teacher's hat and also your student's hat. And I will be asking you to kind of flip one and the other. For this first activity, I want you to take a look at this word cloud that has the shape of a trophy. And there are keywords here. So if you take a look at the word athlete, Do you think that we're going to be talking about a man or a woman in the next activity? Well, if you take a look at some of the keywords, you might have guessed that it's a young woman. Now, what do you think discipline and long working hours may connect to this athlete? All right. Young or athletes need to work for long hours, and they have to be very disciplined because they are high performance athletes. They also have to, in connection to the word trips, they usually compete at the regional level, then they go local, they go national and international. So they have to be on the road many months of the year. Now, if you take a look at the word trainers, what do you think that means? What type of sport is connected to this athlete? We're going to find out when we read. And last but not least, what is the connection of the athlete and the word Parthenon? And social media? Okay, now from the teacher's perspective, the word Parthenon is not directly related to the reading itself, but it will keep the students thinking because it connects the reading to the place where this took place, which is in Greece. So this is kind of a distractor, but it's a way of helping the students pay attention. And then we're going to see how social media took a key role in the story. Now, use all these words and arrange them in short sentences to see if your short story is going to connect to what you're going to read next. Now, this is the author, or this is the athlete that we're going to be talking about. She is Paraskevy Papachristou, and whenever we talk about high-performance athletes, what dreams do they have? These are the three questions that we're going to be discussing with the rest of our students. Now, their dreams is always to participate in the Olympics and to win gold. But in order to do that, what is it that they have to do to achieve their goals? Well, they have to work long hours. They need a lot of discipline. They have to travel a lot. And how long does it take athletes to achieve their dreams? This is a tricky question, but we could probably say decades, because usually athletes start when they are very, very young, probably children, and then they spend their childhood and teenage years training. So there is a lot of sacrifice involved in what they do. And the discussion of these questions are important to prepare the students to understand the implications of what they are going to be reading next. This is an excerpt from Wikipedia. If you want to use the QR code, you can read the story directly from the newspaper. But just to make sure that we are all on the same page, Papachristou was to compete in the 2012 Summer Olympics, but was expelled from the Greek team on the 25th of July 2012 after she posted on her Twitter account a message which has been translated to, "With so many Africans in Greece, the West Nile mosquitoes will at least eat homemade food." This was in reference to a small outbreak of West Nile virus in Greece that had sickened at least 5 and killed 1 person. The tweet, for which she later apologized for being an unfortunate and tasteless joke, was condemned by the Greek Olympic Committee as contrary to Olympic values and ideals. And the point here is she tweeted a joke on a few days before going to the Olympics, which took place in London. And she, because of what happened with her, with the repercussion that her tweet had, the Greek Olympic Committee didn't let her go or take part in the Olympics. and because she was making fun of the nationalities of other people, and this, as it says here, goes against the Olympic values. So if we have been talking about the effort that it takes for a young athlete to get to the Olympics, and then to ruin because she used Twitter, or now X, in a very in a negative way, look at how her comments led to a very difficult situation, horrible situation down the line, along the road. Now, when we are dealing with students who have a low level of English, I absolutely love using graphic organizers because they help them organize the key ideas of the story by focusing on for example, the setting, the character, what was the conflict, and then the resolution, and they can tell the story in a nice way without getting lost. And if we connect the discussion that we have had so far to the digital citizenship curriculum, what core topic can you identify in the story? Is there more than one topic represented? If you ask me, I would say there are at least 3. And if I have to select one, I would say cyberbullying, digital drama, and hate. We are kind and courageous. This person was not kind at all in the tweet that she prepared, and also her digital footprint was created when she first posted the first tweet, and even though she later deleted her Twitter account, she was never able to retrieve the original tweet, because once it starts to be forwarded, you cannot get back what you started. And these are the traces that our postings leave when we make a comment, we respond to a comment, we like something, we don't like something. So that's why we have to be very aware of the way we move in cyberspace. And as I also mentioned, there is a close connection between the relationships and communication core topic, because words can have a lot of a great impact, and also the actions. Now, what did this athlete learn the hard way? As you probably know, she couldn't participate because she didn't behave in a way that was expected from her. And what insights could you share with other people when you or they use social media? Always be respectful, be very kind, think about the way you would like to be treated. And we can also ask our students to discuss how are they learning to use social media. Is it because there was a teacher who helped them once, that is to say, did they receive explicit teaching on it? Did they just learn by observing, trial and error? Have they ever thought of the consequences of their actions in the online landscape? From a language focus, the story can also create the context that teachers can introduce, recycle, or revise different language items or structures, such as regrets, wishes, conditionals, connectors, creation of timelines. In fact, if you go and visit the Wikipedia page about her performance, you can see that she took part in different competitions, so that can be represented with a timeline until the moment that she retired, with the exception of what happened in 2012 in London. Now, from a pedagogical perspective, there are several activities, short activities, that are connected, so that when the students read the actual newspaper page where they can see the situation of this athlete, they could understand why this has repercussions. Now, let's move on to another core topic. And we're going to be talking this time about extinct animals, endangered species, protected species. What are they? Are they the same? What do you know about them? What questions can you think about when you're thinking about endangered species? For example, why do animals die? What kills animals? If animals need to be protected, who takes care of their protection? Now, we're going to be paying attention to the story of the Pacific Northwest tree octopus, which is in danger. It can soon disappear, so we need everybody's help. Would you help with donations? Now, again, let's write questions about this topic, similar to what we have been thinking on the other slide. So, for instance, where is this tree octopus? What type of food does it eat? What is killing it? So different questions that the students should be asking. And why is it important for students to ask questions? Because we teachers tend to do all the questions all the time. We tend to ask the questions. But when the students are asking the questions, from a language perspective, they are learning or they're practicing with the different auxiliaries. Also, when you ask a question, you have this kind of burning feeling that you want answers to your questions or the questions that somebody else asked. So it is important to ask questions on a regular basis, and it will also be connected to the skill that we're going to be discussing. Now, if you scan the QR code, you can actually go to the actual website that I'm going to be a spoiler here, but it's a fake website, but the pictures and the videos that have been created about the octopus looks very, very nice, very real. And there are even side scenes of the octopus. There are activities that are presented in a PDF format that you can build a house for the tree octopus as if it were a house for birds. And then there is made up literature, and there are listings of other endangered species, frequently asked questions. So the website, when you explore it, has a lot of resources. Now, I have used this website with my undergrad students and graduate students. And in general, we can say that whenever I present the story and I urge them to donate, I urge them to participate, I urge them to do something about, and I kind of do it like quickly, make up your mind, they kind of buy the content. And their reactions and responses is very much in line with what the actual researchers that were using this website in other parts of the world encountered with their students. Why? Because the appearance of the website looks really very real, but it is fake when you start analyzing it. And this website has been used as an example to teach digital literacy and critical thinking worldwide. So let's connect this idea back to global skills. What is critical thinking? How do we help students develop it? Back to the Oxford position paper that I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the authors define critical thinking as the ability to analyze information and draw on problem-solving skills to form a balanced judgment, and the ability to evaluate the source and accuracy of information found online or offline, which is vital in any learning situation. Now, back to the example that I was sharing about my students, you could say that they did not form a balanced judgment. In fact, and here this is the tricky part, they were evaluating the two sources. I was the source pushing them to make, to do something, but I did not write the website. So they were taking the website like as something valid because the teacher was asking them to do something. And that's where I challenged them to question the source and also the accuracy of the information that they found. And for many of them, this was like a shocker that a teacher could be asking them to do something contrary to what they were expecting. But I told them that this was part of the activity and the practice in order to imitate real life situations that sometimes things happen like that. It's from people that you think that you trust, but all of a sudden they ask you to do something unexpected. Now, from a language perspective, the story can be, we can retell the story, and going back to the idea of asking questions. One way of helping our students develop critical thinking is to analyze the story asking the so-called 5W questions or journalistic questions. Why does this piece of news, why is this piece of news published? Who published it? When was it published? Where? And what is this information? What is the content of this information? So when you present students with these questions that they have to, when they have to ask the questions and then they have to answer, they should not be using the same website to provide their responses, because obviously if the information is fake, the answers are not going to be very valid. So the importance here is to teach them how to triangulate information so that they can see that this initial website was not useful or valid. Also, it is important to help them look for evidence that can back up or support their claims and analyze them. So this is the way of helping them develop their critical thinking skills. Within the digital citizenship curriculum, we can say that this last resource fits very well with news and media literacy. We are critical thinkers and creators, and the leading question of this curriculum is, how can I be a critical consumer and creator of news and media? As we are wrapping up this presentation, we need to start thinking about the development of global skills require modeling. That students need time to ask questions and to debate about the topic, as what I did with my students. That it is a recursive process. It is not something that the students are going to learn overnight. And also, it is great to start thinking about teaching about all of these skills, since students are in very early grades and they grow as they grow older. We can approach the topic from different perspectives and different levels of difficulties. That the stories can provide context for the students to use the language meaningfully, and it can help them retrieve it later. And here, let me share a quick story with you. I was doing a substitution and teaching students who were 10 years of age, and they have to work with the simple present and habits. And they were supposed to be talking about work, office, and getting up early. And this didn't go well with students who were 10 years of age. So I decided to use superheroes such as Batman and Wonder Woman, and we started talking about them in the singular, plurals, woman, man, and then we transition till the students have to talk about their own daily routines. And when the time of the test came and they have to write about their own routine, one of the students asked, "Oh, should I also be talking as if we were talking about the superheroes?" So this idea that the language can be retrieved later when the context is similar to what they were working with. So that's why stories are so powerful. Implication for teachers. Is digital citizenship and critical thinking a topic that can be handled by a single teacher? I would say no, because it's too much. It's not a question of only responsibility, but we are really, the topic is really very complex. As you can see with the different core topics, there are different layers. So it's too much for one single teacher. Yet, it's better that a single teacher discusses them than no teacher discusses them at all. So this is also in connection to the next question, should this probably be a school or district project? What about the involvement of the parents? And I was in a baker shop, and I heard a grandmother talking to another woman, saying that she was learning about social media from her granddaughter. So also notice the importance of how children are educating other members of the family. And because this is a topic that is constantly evolving, collaboration among teachers is key to create resources for schools. Final thoughts. For students, they need a space to talk about digital citizenship and to practice critical thinking in safe ways, similarly to what I did with my students, that we were very few, that we were talking and discussing the topic in a nice way and in a way that was totally unexpected for them. Students also need to understand that what they do on social media has an impact for them and for others. And if students are in doubt, we should always help them make the decision that they should be kind and respectful. These are the different references that I have been making, connecting or mentioning throughout the presentation. And I hope to see you at the Q&A later. Thank you so much for your participation and see you in a bit. Bye.